Hi, I'm Elia. So I am a future training solicitor at an international law firm in London. I'm also a Cambridge graduate, and I'm going to tell you about how I went from a school in Croydon to Cambridge to being a future training solicitor. So I'm going to start off with my schooling and then go in that order. So I went to school, I think it was like 14 years ago now, which feels ridiculous, but I started in 2011 and finished secondary school in 2016. I really enjoyed school. I went to like a relatively slightly above average school in South London. Like they performed quite well for being a state school, but it was still a state school. But like at the end of the day, I loved it there. Like I made great friends. My teachers were lovely and generally liked me, apart from some teachers that really did not like me. I really enjoyed it. Admittedly, like as I went through the years, my health got a lot worse, and so by my GCSEs, I'd been to A&E during my GCSEs, saw my GP a few times, had appointments during my GCSE exams, and then was in hospital for a few months after my GCSE exam. So it was quite challenging at that time. But I still came out with 6 A stars, as well as like 4 A's and I think a B, which at the time I was quite upset about because it wasn't my predicted grades. But now I look back, I'm so pleased with myself because it was a really hard time for me. After my GCSEs, I moved on to sixth form, so that was a bit quite intense. Like I started my A levels about 3 months late, because I was in hospital, and I did quite a few A levels. I did maths, further maths, physics, chemistry, plus AS biology and an EPQ over my 2 years of A levels. So it was quite an intense time, but I really did enjoy it. Apart from like my health struggles, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my subjects, and yeah, it was great. Not amazing, but still pretty good. And my sixth form were really supportive. Like they knew about my health struggles and like supported me when I was in hospital and like sent me work and sent me things to do. And were really supportive when I came back as well. Like I had a phased return back into school. So that was great. At the end of my A levels, I had also had some struggles during my A level exams, because one of my family members was really unwell and they were in hospital. So that was it, like at the beginning of my A levels in my second year of A levels, which was quite stressful. But it all worked out okay in the end. I got 4 A stars plus an A in my AS and an A star in my EPQ. So I managed to do like pretty well, which I'm really pleased with myself about. I then applied to uni. I did apply to uni during my A-level years, but I decided not to go to the uni I was meant to go to because it was too far. It was quite far away, and I realised that due to my health I didn't want to be so far away from my home and from my parents. So I decided to reapply to, instead of going for any university outside of London, I went to universities mostly in London plus Cambridge. And that was definitely the right decision for me. And after my interview and my assessment, I managed to get into Cambridge, and I'm really lucky for that. Like I think part of it is skill and like it is like your knowledge and like how you think, but part of it is like a bit of luck, like how you perform on the day and like how much sleep you got and like how supportive the people around you are. So I was really lucky about that. Yeah, so during my first year at Cambridge, I did chemistry, I did natural sciences, let me put that in there. But so my first year I did chemistry, maths, physics, and material science. My first year was really challenging actually. Like, my college weren't the most supportive of me and my health challenges, and it was also the start of the pandemic during that year, so it was quite difficult and like very hard, especially as Cambridge is like it's an amazing place if you really want to get into your subject, and like I could never fault them on like the breadth of knowledge you get, but like they're not amazing. It's a very intense place to be. Like I had Saturday lectures, I had like meetings late in the afternoon on late in the evening for like my course, and like 9 a.m. lectures every day, 9 a.m. lectures on a Saturday. Like it was very intense, and so it's not the best for your well-being, but it was great for like subject learning. But yeah, so my first year was difficult, and we didn't do formal exams in the end because of the pandemic. So, and I stayed most of a good part of the year at home. So it was kind of not what a first year should be, but I made it through, and then I got into second year, which I was very happy about. So second year was mostly a great year, a good year. I did chemistry, experimental psychology, and material science, specifically physical chemistry, and like I really enjoyed my subjects. Like, they were so fascinating. I got to speak to like really amazing people and hear from amazing people. Some people who I don't always agree with, but like it was really great to hear from them. And then during my exams, as it went a bit haywire, I got unwell again, and I like ended up in hospital after my exams. But during my exams I was like unwell, and like that really reflected in my exam performance, and I ended up with a 2-2, which I wasn't very happy about, and I still look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I did better. But it's still like okay given the challenges that I was facing at the time. And I knew that I could do, but I did know that I could do a lot better, which is always disappointing. But yeah, so I did manage to come back for third year, which was great. Because third year is the year in my course at the time. It was very much the year which determined what exam grade what like your final grade was going to be, and the grade that you quote to people. And so it was a very important year, and I decided to do solely psychology for that year. Like, I came into uni thinking I was going to do like material science or chemistry, and ended up doing psychology, which is probably one of the best things about natural sciences. But yeah, I did psychology, and I really enjoyed this year. Like, it was my favorite year out of the three. I also did a dissertation and a research project, which I absolutely loved. I loved getting into like the nitty-gritty of a topic and like learning more about psychology. It was fascinating, and that definitely reflected my love of the subject. Definitely reflected in my exam grades, because in the end I got a first. I also got a 90 in my research project and a 74 in my dissertation, which I was so pleased with. And those definitely like brought my grade up into like a good first. So yeah, during after my degree, I decided to work for my students' union for a year. So if you don't know what a students' union is, it's basically like an organization like that works with the university to basically represent students, to do events, to do like freshers fairs, and like to basically support students. Like, they have an advice service, so like they do a lot for students, in my opinion. I know not everyone thinks that, but like I'm biased. But like, so I worked for them for the year as the disabled student sabbatical officer, and I really enjoyed that. I got to represent disabled students. I got to go to like big committees and like basically be annoying, which was great fun. I got to run events. I did accessibility training. I spoke at events. Like, I managed like a committee. Yeah, it was a great year for me. I mean, I did get unwell, but like it was generally quite managed, and I just generally really enjoyed this year. I lived with a friend who was great. And yeah, made lots of new friends, and like I still see some of them now, which is amazing. But yeah, this was the year that I really decided that I was going to go into law. Throughout my undergraduate, I had like thought about law like repeatedly, and I thought, maybe this is a career for me. But I'd never properly like sat down and been like, this is what I'm going to do, this is why I want to do it, and like really thought through it. But I decided to go into law partially because of my role in my students' union. So part of my role was, we did like this thing called a governance review, which is basically look at all the documents that govern how the SU worked, and like as both as a charity but also as like an organization. And so it was really fascinating getting into like how it all worked, and like the rules behind it and the laws behind it, and like I found it so fascinating. I got to rewrite some of the bylaws, which are like the specific rules that govern how the SU worked, and I really enjoyed that. And it made me realize that like law is probably definitely what I want to go into. Like, and so from there, I then started applying for training contracts. Like, I'd applied a couple times before, but never like seriously. But in this year, I applied for training contracts, and I was really lucky that I did an assessment centre in, I think it was like August of 2023, and I got results that I got the training contract a couple months later, or like a month later. And I was really grateful for that. Like, when I found out that I got the training contract, I had just started the PGDL, so which I applied for while I was working as well, or just after I'd finished working in my students' union. And that was, yes, I started the PGDL and then got my training contract, so it kind of all worked out really well. And now onto the PGDL. So I have really enjoyed the PGDL. Like, again, I had some health challenges, and like I did take a year out because I wanted to do the best I could do, and I couldn't do that at the time. But hopefully all those health challenges are in the past now. So, well, not in the past, but like a lot hopefully they'll have less of an effect on my life going forward. But it was so fascinating, PGDL. I've just finished it like a couple days ago, and like basically I loved it. Like we did contract law, tort law, constitutional law, criminal law, equity and trust, which I've never heard of, land law, business law, and human rights law. And I find it so fascinating. Like, it's a lot to learn in 1 year, but like it is worthwhile. Like, you learn so much information, you gain so many new skills. Like like I'd already got problem solving skills from my degree, but like this was like to a whole new context. And plus I got like more research skills. I got yeah, but anyways, it was just really fascinating, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, that's been my journey so far, from school to now, and to being a future trainee. And basically now what I've got to do next is the SQE, which I am excited about but nervous about, because I've heard it's very, very hard, and I know it's very, very hard, knowing some people that have gone through it as well. But I am excited, and hopefully it'll all go well, and this time, well, not this time next year, but almost this time next year, I will be a trainee. But fingers crossed, and hopefully I will see you soon.